You ever wake up after 8 hours of sleep and still feel exhausted? Not physically tired, mentally drained. Like your brain already ran a marathon before you even had coffee. If that's you, there's a reason. And it's not because something's wrong with you. It's actually because of how your brain is built. Stay with me. This one hits different. I want you to think about someone in your life who's genuinely sharp, quick thinker, always a few steps ahead. The kind of person who notices things others just miss. Now ask yourself, are they relaxed, carefree, unbothered? Probably not. Chances are they're also the most worn-out person in the room. That's not a coincidence. That's neuroscience. Here's the thing nobody talks about. A more active brain is a more expensive brain. Researchers have found that people with higher cognitive activity, basically people who think more deeply and more often, show significantly higher glucose consumption in their prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain responsible for reasoning, decision-making, and self-control. Translation? If your brain is always on, it's burning through fuel at a higher rate than average. You're not imagining the fatigue. You're literally spending more mental energy just existing. But that's just the beginning. Because intelligent people don't just think more, they think differently. There's a phenomenon called default mode network overdrive. In most people, the brain quiets down during downtime, rest, daydreaming, zoning out. But in highly analytical minds, the default mode network, the part of your brain active during self-reflection and imagination, stays unusually busy even when you're doing nothing. You're never really off. You're replaying conversations from 3 days ago, running through scenarios that probably won't happen, noticing patterns in things most people never even look at twice. It's not overthinking, it's just how your brain defaults, and it is exhausting. Now here's where it gets interesting, and a little uncomfortable. Intelligent people tend to feel more, not in a dramatic way, in a deeply registering everything kind of way. Psychologists call this depth of processing. The idea is simple. Some people process experiences at a surface level. Others go deep, automatically, unconsciously. They absorb more detail, feel the weight of more situations, carry more of the emotional residue of daily life. A crowded subway isn't just noisy, it's 20 separate conversations, a smell that reminds you of something from 5 years ago, and a stranger's expression that you somehow can't stop thinking about. That depth, beautiful in many ways, but it costs energy, real energy. There's also something called existential load, and this one's underrated. The smarter someone is, the more likely they are to wrestle with big, heavy, unresolvable questions. What's the point of this? Am I actually making the right choices? How much of what I believe is just conditioning? These aren't questions you answer on a Tuesday and move on. They live in the background, quietly running, taking up processing power like 20 browser tabs you forgot to close. Most people don't even ask these questions, which means they're not carrying them either. And then there's what I call the awareness tax. When you're perceptive, you see more. Not just the good stuff, the complexity, the contradictions, the gaps between how things are and how they could be. You see inefficiency at work and it bothers you. You notice when someone's being kind but also slightly manipulative. You watch a decision get made the wrong way and you already know how it's going to end. That awareness is a gift, but it doesn't come free. Research consistently shows that people who score high on measures of perceptiveness and analytical thinking also report higher levels of chronic, low-grade stress. Not from major life events, but from simply registering more of reality than the average person. You're not anxious because you're broken. You're anxious because you're paying attention. Hey, if any of this is landing for you, it would genuinely mean a lot if you hit subscribe. I make these videos for people who actually think about this stuff. You clearly do. Now, what do you do about it? Because knowing why you're tired doesn't automatically make you less tired. You need actual strategies. First, schedule genuine recovery, not passive scrolling, not podcasts in the background. For a brain that's always processing, actual rest means not processing. That means walks without your phone, moments of intentional quiet, activities where your analytical mind gets to step back. A lot of intelligent people confuse distraction with rest. They're not the same. Switching from one stimulus to another doesn't give your brain a break, it just changes the channel on something that's still running. Second, stop treating your mental bandwidth like it's unlimited. It isn't. And pretending it is doesn't make you more capable, it just makes you more depleted. High-functioning, perceptive people often operate under this invisible assumption that they should be able to handle everything. The workload, the emotional labor, the planning, the big questions, the noticing. All of it, all the time. But even the highest performance engine needs maintenance. Set real limits. Say no more often. Let some things be someone else's problem. Not because you can't handle it, but because you've already been handling so much that you didn't have to. Third, and this one is quieter but important, find your people. Intelligent people are often isolated not because they're antisocial, but because a lot of conversations feel thin, surface level, draining in a different way. Deep conversation, the kind where you don't have to simplify yourself, is actually restorative for brains like yours. It fills something that small talk quietly empties. Seek it out. It matters more than you think. Here's the bottom line. If you're smart and you're tired, that's not a flaw in you. It's a feature of how you're wired. Your brain is doing more. It's noticing more, processing more, carrying more. The problem isn't your capacity. The problem is that most of the world is designed for people who aren't running at your level, and nobody taught you how to actually recharge a brain like yours. Now you know. Take care of it. If this gave you something, share it with someone who gets it. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm glad you're